Hey, welcome to the conversation today. Today, I wanted to talk to you about procrastination and the link between exhaustion and stress management. So, I'm curious, have you felt exhausted recently? Have you felt stressed recently? There could be a link back to procrastination. I found myself today facing a task that I procrastinated literally for almost 5 years. And so it really got me thinking about how I wanted to talk to you about procrastination. Procrastination usually happens for two different reasons. Either there is a deep resistance to doing something that we really need to do, or there is a deep resistance to doing something that is a should that we think we should do for some reason. That reason might even seem very real to you, but as we talk today, I'm going to share with you how to evaluate which is which. Because I had both situations today. I had myself who was facing a procrastinating something that I really did need to do, and I had a client today who was facing procrastinating something that was a should. And how do we know the difference? Well, for me, I was facing needing to call the IRS to resolve a small complication with my tax ID number. And that complication changed or came about when I changed my business name about 5 years ago. And little simple paperwork thing that didn't happen when my accountant filed taxes that year. There was a box that was supposed to be checked to formalize the official name change at the federal level and the state level. So you can agree something that in the whole scope of things, it's something fairly minor, but major in the aspect that it did need taken care of. But I was in deep resistance to it for this long, and I can tell you that the energy that I've spent thinking about this in the background has taken far more energy than it took for me to solve that challenge today. Um, and why was I resisting doing it? Well, I think that this is a really good thing that when we talk about procrastination and mindset, we have to be really curious about what is in our mindset that's impacting our procrastination. Now, if you've been following along with me for a while, you know I love the positive intelligence way of looking at mindset, which includes the 10 most common saboteurs, their thinking traps that we have in our thinking. One of mine is victim. And so, in a situation like this, I can often feel like a victim, like somebody else should have done something. And so I've always, well, my accountant should have caught this back then. Or maybe I'll just call my new accountant and see if they can deal with it. And maybe there was a little nervousness about calling the IRS. Like, who wants to talk to the IRS? So, um, so that victim mindset for me was a little bit active. Now, let's compare that to a should, because I remember I said there's two ways that or two primary reasons that we procrastinate. One is something we really need to do, like I really needed to call the IRS, and the other is a should. A should is something that either we have put on ourselves to do or somebody else has put it upon us to do. But it doesn't really feel deeply inside of us. It doesn't feel deeply aligned inside of us. So I had a client who was procrastinating completing a report because she felt that she should include a summary from all of her direct reports in this report that was getting rolled up to her leadership. And so when we got to exploring that mindset around why she felt like she needed to include every single person in there, it was tied back to this idea that she wanted to have all of her people that she leads recognized on a high level, which nothing wrong with that, right? But this was actually way too much information for what was needed in this report, and that wasn't the way it was being used, right? It wasn't being used to evaluate, it was just almost as if it was a weekly update on things. And so when we got down into talking about it, she could see that, wow, she was expecting herself to do a whole bunch of work that wasn't necessary, and because all of that work took extra time and energy to prepare, it was easier to just procrastinate doing it, okay? So there was some mindset, some thinking traps going on for her too, related to again, for her was a little bit related to being a victim too. It was like, well, if these people don't get recognized, they're not going to get something. Maybe it would impact a promotion down the road or something else. And so she was really concerned about that. Okay. So in both cases, we each identified the thinking trap. I could identify, okay, I've been trying to push this off onto someone else for a long time. And she identified that, hey, I've been trying to make myself do something that I really don't need nor even want to do when I get down to really understanding it. And so that leads to what happens next, right? That leads to action. And the biggest way out of procrastination is to find what the needed action is. So for me, the needed action was dialing the 800 number to the IRS and just seeing what needed to happen. And do you know that in 15 minutes, they had given me very clear direction on what I needed to do, which is a very simple um, paper exchange that needs to happen. Very simple. I know now, after all this time and all that energy wasted thinking about this, I now have my action to take. Now, for my client, her action is simple. She drops the expectation that she was putting on herself that she should be doing this differently. And the energy immediately, she's like, oh my gosh, that's going to free up so much time and energy for me. And for me, I thought, wow, kind of silly for me to have spent all this time, subconsciously thinking about this tax issue only to have it so easy and simple to be solved. So let's wrap this all up then. When you find yourself in a space of procrastination, the key thing you want to do is ask yourself, is this something I really need to do? Or is this something that is a should? And if it's something you really need to do, what's the one action you can take right now or in the next 15 minutes to take action on that thing? And if you feel like it's a should and you can explore that a little bit deeper, and then just drop it. A should you can just drop. Doesn't need to be given any more attention to. Although your mind is going to get a little bit angsty about that. Okay, well, that's the link between procrastination, mindset, exhaustion, and stress management. So if you want to dial down your stress level and increase your energy, think about where you can take action instead of procrastinating. Now, I'd love to get your input on other topics you'd like to see me address in upcoming videos. So I've included a form in the link below where you can just simply put that. It's not going to ask you 40 questions. It's going to really just be a click, tell me where you saw me at, and then um, put your suggestion, because I'd love to make sure that the conversations, the video conversations I have are relevant to those who are watching. All right. I'm authentic leadership coach Vicki Haddock, and I'll see you next time.